So next we'll move on towards your Telnet and SSH. Now see, if you want to access your router, we have few ways to access your router. Okay. If you want to access your routers and do some configuration, so we have few ways to access and do the configuration. What are the ways? Number one, console. Number two, Telnet or SSH. And if you want to consider these two as a different, then you can consider these four types. SSH. Then we have HTTP. Okay. GUI access using HTTP or HTTPS. GUI means graphical user interface. Okay. Like this, you have few ways to configure. Console access. So console access, if you take up a router here. So if you see in the front of the router, there will be a console port. Okay. Let me show you the same router here. Okay, this is the router you have in front of you, right? So in this router, you will have in the front, you will have one blue port that is known as console port. Correct. Now there is a cable known as console cable. How does it look like? This is how your console cable looks like. This one. Okay. So in this cable, if you see, there is two ports. One is the Ethernet port or RJ45 connector, and the second side, this is known as serial connection. Okay. One side we have RJ45, and the second side we have serial. Okay. The RJ45 connection that will be connected into your router here. And the other side, if you are using a system computer, so in the computer motherboard, there is a separate serial port. Okay, if you want to see, let me show you. From side view, if we are able to see, there we can see. No, I will just go with our motherboard. This one. Yeah, this one. Okay, this is the one. So you see, this is a serial connection with 9 pins. Okay, if you see here, there will be 9 holes. Okay, so this is how we connect. So this part is connected in the computer, but what about the laptops? In the laptops, we do not have this serial port. So in case of laptops, what we do, we use USB to serial converter. These types of converters we use, okay, like this one, okay. Like consider like this one. These types of connectors we use. So this connector will connect to the 9-pin serial connection, and then will give us a USB interface. Okay. And through the USB interface, we will be able to connect to laptop and access. So for initial configuration, we just use the console connection. Okay. Now, once you have connected, you will be able to access using the softwares like PuTTY. Okay, that thing I'll show you in the lab, that how you will be able to access using console. Okay. Then second is Telnet and SSH. These are for remote access. See, this is for local access. Local means you have to have access to the router. You have to be physically present there with your system. This is for the local access. Now, all these things, Telnet, SSH, and other things, these are for the remote access. Okay. Telnet, SSH, GUI. Yes, for physical connection. Okay, and these are just for the configuration purpose only. Initial configuration. Console we use just for the initial configuration. Means we will access, then we will set up the Telnet, SSH or GUI, and accordingly we will configure. Then Telnet and SSH, these are for the remote access. Okay, and your Telnet, this is, you can say, insecure. Why? Because whatever communication is happening, that is happening in the plain text. In case of Telnet, your entire communication is happening in the plain text. So if someone is sniffing your traffic, someone is sniffing the traffic in the network, means there is a hacker in the network who is capturing all the traffic. So they will be able to see what all the usernames and password you have on the router. Why? Because this is traveling in the plain text. Okay. And your Telnet uses port number 23 TCP. Okay. Similarly, SSH is a secure protocol, a replacement for your Telnet. Okay, and entire traffic is encrypted. So even if a hacker is sniffing this traffic, he will not be able to know what all the things are going on, what communication is taking place. Okay, and uses port number 22 TCP. GUI access, HTTP and HTTPS. Again, HTTP is plain text, HTTPS is secure. Okay, if we talk about HTTP, same thing, insecure. Why? Entire communication in plain text. And uses port number 80 TCP. And HTTPS is secure. Why? Traffic is encrypted and uses port number 443 TCP. Is that clear? Okay. Theoretical part we'll discuss once. First of all, let's go with the practical. Okay. This is clear, but in the theory also you'll see these same set of things only. That okay, insecure, plain text, encrypted, differences, port numbers. Okay. So first we'll go with the practical, then we'll understand the theory. Now console access have to be physically present, then only we can take the access and do the configurations. Then we have Telnet access, or if you want to see console access in packet tracer also, you can take the console access. Let's say this is the router. Okay. Then this is the PC. Now, if I usually go with and do the connection, I will need an IP address to access the router from the PC, right? So what I can do, I can go to the cable in the console. Here, which port I will connect? Console. And in the PC, RS-232. This is the name for serial. Okay. The port serial code, that is RS-232 port. So connect it here. This is the console connection done. Now open your PC, desktop. Now instead of going to command prompt, we will go to the terminal. These are set to default. Just say OK. Do you see what it is? This is your router. So in console, you do not require any sort of IP address, password, nothing. This is the default case. Okay.
Means anybody can access.
Yes. That's why it is for the initial configuration, because initially it will be insecure. Okay. Now you can just go and do all the configurations, whether you want to configure Telnet, you want to configure SSH, HTTP, HTTPS. You do all those configurations, and after that you can access it securely. Okay. So here we will in the packet tracer.
After initial configuration, if anybody can to have the system, everything was configured. If we would like to connect it with console cable.
See, console cable, first of all, your routers are mounted in the rack in the server room. So nobody will have the physical access.
If
Yeah, the next case is if. So in that scenarios, you can set up passwords on the console access also. You can set up encrypted passwords also. Like you can set up a secret password on your router, so they will not be able to move on to the privileged mode. Okay. So like that, you can secure. There are ways to secure. Okay. And only the authorized personnel will have the access to the server room, not everybody. Yes. Yes. Correct. All right. So let's go with the configuration of the. See, if you want to configure Telnet in your router, that is real easy. Only 3 commands and Telnet is done. Okay. Now, with the help, see how many console ports are there in your router. Okay. So with the help of console port, only one user will be able to take the access. Okay. But in some companies, there are the cases that multiple network admins are there at different levels. Okay. So for them, we have the virtual access, remote access, like Telnet or SSH. So when you configure Telnet or SSH, at a time, maximum 16 users can take an access. At a time, maximum 16 users can take access. How 16 users? See, we have virtual terminal lines, and those lines we call them as a VTY lines. Okay. So the command is, let's say, line VTY. Then starting line number is 0, maximum line number is 15. Now, depending on how many users you want to provide the access, you will give the maximum. Let's say if I want 2 users only, so 0 and 1. If I say 3 users, 0 to 2. If I want 5 users, 0 to 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So total 5 users will have the access. Okay. Now, when you're configuring Telnet, there are few ways to configure Telnet. Like if you want, you can allow the access just by using password. If you want, you can authenticate the user by asking them for username and password. That is your choice. Okay. So let's say, first of all, I'll tell you about only using password. Using password. When you want to verify the user, only using the password. So you'll say line VTY 0 to 4. Then you'll say password. Okay. And whatever password you want to set. Here, the password you'll give. Whatever password you want to set, and then you'll give the command login. These are the 3 commands. When you want to allow access only using the password. Okay. Now, in case if you want to ask for username, password, and everything, what will be the difference? Means you have to create a user, right? So first you will create a user. Let's say you'll say username. Then here you will give the name of user. Then you will say password. Then here you will give the password for user. Now when now in the users also we have a case that by default when you create a user, that will have the privilege level 1. Okay, there is privilege levels for the user. user privilege level. Okay, spellings you can check. User privilege level. So total 15 privilege levels are there, 1 till 15. The range of privilege level is 1 till 15. Least is 1, highest is 50. Okay. So by default, when you're creating a user, that will have the privilege level 1. And when a user has privilege level 1, that means he will just have access to user execution mode. Only user execution mode. He will not have access to privilege mode or global configuration. Means very limited set of commands that user can execute. Now, if you want that a user should have more access, okay, in that case, you will provide 50. You can provide in between also, but when you are providing in between, then you'll have to assign with the commands also, like what all the commands a user can use, you cannot use. Okay, that is in the iOS hardening, not a part of CCNA. Okay, but as of now, just consider by default we'll have least privilege level, level 1. And if you want to give the highest, you have to provide the 15. So how do you provide the 15 access? Just give one more thing, privilege level 15. Okay, by default, if you create, that will having the privilege level 1. Okay, I'll show you with the both the users with the privilege level 1 and 15. Then if you have created the username and password, do we require this password? No. So that means this password will not be there. And this time I want to log in and I want to verify the user using the local database. What all the users I have created in my local router. So I'll say login local. Again, just 3 comments. Well and good, enough. This is your Telnet configuration. Clear? Easy. Let's do this configuration and we'll verify. Now for this purpose, now let's consider this is the PC. I'm taking the console access. Now we'll do the initial configuration. Okay. So let's say on this router, there will, if I connect one PC here, let's say if I just connect it to network. So I'll be using what? Ethernet. So having fast Ethernet and this is. So on this interface, I will configure the IP address and I'm taking the access through the console as of now. Initial configuration I'm doing in the router. See, so my router is not having the configuration. That's why system configuration dialog. Okay, now see, I'll say enable configuration terminal. Okay, then I'll say interface F0 by 0, correct? Let's say I'll set the IP address 10.0.0.1 255.255.255. Let's keep it default also. Means anything you can give. No shutdown. Now I want that, okay, this user should be able to take Telnet access. Okay, so I'll configure Telnet. So first of all, I'll say line VTY 0 to 4. Okay. Password I will give. Okay, before this, let me give the password 123 and I'll say login. Okay. By default, if you just set the IP address and you try to take access, so you will not be able to take access. You have to give this command line VTY 0 to 4, then only you will be able to take an access. Okay. Now go to this PC. Assign the IP address. Let's say 10.0.0.2 I will assign. Okay, gateway we do not require for communicating in the same network. Go to the command prompt. Let's try to take Telnet. First of all, let's check the connectivity. Have the connectivity. Then let's take the Telnet access. So Telnet 10.0.0.1. What it is asking me? Password. Let me give 1 to 3. Do I have the access to the router? Yes. But since this is the lowest level access, I will not have access to the privilege mode. And if I want to check the running configuration, and if you want to see the privilege level, show privilege. What is the privilege level? 1. Okay, this is clear. Okay. So this is simple password access. So means in the network companies, what happens? There are certain network admins, but they are having different level of access. So this is how the level of access is defined. That okay, which user will only see the configuration, which user can make the configurations. Okay, like that. Now, if you want to configure Telnet, okay, and then you want to verify using username and password. So first of all, we'll say line VTY 0 to 4, no login, no password 1 to 3, correct? Then I will create a user. So I'll say username. One user I'm creating with the name CCNA, and simple I'm giving password CCNA. So what will be the default privilege level? 1. I didn't assign any specific privilege level. Another user I'm creating, username, let's say CCIE, and password again CCIE. 2 user, oh sorry, did not assign privilege level. So here I will assign the privilege level 50. Now I have 2 users. Okay, you can check. Do show run 5 section username. So I have 2 users. One is the CCNA and second is the CCIE that is having the privilege level 50. Okay. Now see. 2 users are created. Then I will go to line VTY 0 to 4 and simply I'll say login local. Done. Go to the PC. Right now we are in the PC. Now if I say telnet 10.0.0.1, what it is asking? Okay. First of all, let's try with the CCNA. See, in which mode I am? Is it user execution? Right? User execution mode. So if I'm having access to user execution mode, that means what is my privilege level? Okay, I haven't written here. That means my privilege level is 1. So if I want to check my privilege level, I can simply give the command show privilege. 1 means I cannot go to the privilege mode. I cannot make up the configuration. Even if I want to check running configuration, show running configuration. I'm not able to check the running configuration also. Right? This is the lowest level of access. Okay. Now let me exit from here and let's try to log in again with CCIE. Okay. So what you can do, you'll say telnet 10.0.0.1, username CCIE, password CCIE, password wrong. How come? Did we give wrong password? Password is correct. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's create the user. Let me remove the user. Username CCIE. We have the option to sign password and privilege. If I sign password, let's say PCIe. Okay. In your router, in your packet tracer, what is the problem? That it is taking the privilege before only. It is not taking the privilege after the password. Okay. So what you have to do here, assign the privilege first. That privilege 15 you want to assign, then password CCA. Okay, this small change you have to create. Okay. Here, make up this small change. Otherwise, in packet tracer, you will face the problems. Take up the privilege level first, then the password. Okay, like this. Done. Now we can log in. So go to this PC. Telnet 10.0.0.1. Username CCIE, password CCIE. Which mode am I having the access directly? Privilege, not the user execution. And if you check show privilege, okay. So with this way, you can make up the configurations. Now the problem is security. The issue is what? Security, right? Your Telnet is not secure. Now see why it is not secure. Go to the simulation mode. This time, what kind of packet we want to capture? Which protocol we are studying? Telnet. So we want to capture Telnet packets. So we do not require ARP and ICMP. So again, go to the show all done. Edit filters. Now here you will not find the Telnet. So miscellaneous, and you will find here Telnet. Only Telnet packets we will capture. Okay. Go to this PC. Say Telnet. Done. Now you will see packets will be generated. So this side you can see here the packets, like what kind of packets they are. What type of packet? Or here also you can see simply what type of packet. Okay. If you open this packet, inbound PDU details, and if you read the Telnet data, what is the data here? User access verification, and then asking for username. So that means this packet has arrived to my PC. So if I open my PC, is it the same thing? Okay. Now, as I will type here username, focus, the packets will be generated. Okay, this side. Let's say CCIE got generated. If I open and read these packets, outbound, what it is? C. This is the first, second. C. I. Correct. So like this, your Telnet data can be captured. So if a hacker is present in the network in between, he will be able to capture all your packets. And then by analyzing these packets, he will be able to know that, okay, this is the username, this is the password, these are the commands you are executing, everything. Okay. And since, see, not just this information, he will be able to see all other information as well. If you see, let's say this is trying to access what IP it is trying to access, 10.0.0.1. So now attacker can also just connect to this router using IP, username, password. What else is required? Correct? This is clear. Now we'll see the secure alternative for this, that is your SSH. Now, if you want to configure SSH, okay, for SSH, there are certain requirements. First of all, your SSH stands for secure shell. Now, what are the requirements? First requirement, domain name must not be default. By default, what is the host name of your router? What is the host name by default? Yes, router only, right? So that should not be default. You have to change the host name. Second, you have to configure a domain name. Second thing, what you have to do, configure a domain name. Third thing, now SSH is a secure and uses asymmetric encryption. So you have to generate the encryption keys. Okay, so you have to generate, we can say, cryptographic keys. Okay, or these keys you can also know them as a RSA keys. Then fourth is you have to configure username also, because SSH is not a protocol that you can access using just password. And then finally, you have to configure your VTY lines. Okay. Now comments for each and everything. If you want to change the host name, the command will be host name. Okay, and whatever host name you want to give. Okay. Then if you want to configure domain name, then you have to give the command IP domain name, and here you'll give the domain name. Means like cisco.com, whatever is your company domain, according to that you will configure, like cisco.com, nh.com, networkersoft.com. Okay. Or if not, anything random you can configure. Then after, cryptographic keys, so you will generate them like crypto key generate RSA. Okay. Then after, you will give the modulus. Okay, you will say modulus, and how many bit encryption keys you want to generate. Like, see, there is a range. Okay, there is a range between like 360 to 2048. Okay, so for in SSH you will see two versions: SSH version 1, SSH version 2. So your version 2 is more secure than version 1, and for version 2 at least 768-bit encryption you need. Okay, so at least 768. Most popular is 1024. So either you can go with the 1024 or you can go with the maximum. That is up to you. Okay, now there's one more thing, that if you use higher bit of encryption, then your router will consume more CPU, because your router has to encrypt each and every packet with these many encryption bits. And if you use very low encryption like 768, then it has higher chances to get cracked. Okay, so we have to use it according to our company requirement. Okay, right now most popular is 1024, so you can go with the 1024. Or if you think like, okay, your company is not having so much of traffic, in that case you can go with the 2048. Okay, depending on the need, like if you feel okay, the traffic is getting slow, okay, in that case you can come to the 1024. Okay, more the number of bits, more secure your network is, more secure your communication is. Okay, this is clear. So cryptographic keys will be generated. So let's say here modulus, you'll say, for example, in packet tracer we don't have much of the traffic, so we'll go with the 2048. Then configuring username and password. So if you want to configure username and password, simply username. Then you will give the name of a user. Then assign the privilege level, whatever privilege level you want to assign, let's say 15. And then assign the password and what is the password you want to assign. Then after configuring VTY lines. So if you want to configure VTY lines, this is similar. Line VTY 0 to 4. And then login local. Login local. So this is all the configuration that will be. So let's go and do this configuration.
Line VTY 0 to 4 means IP users can.
Guys, 1 minute. Please. Okay. So now let's move on to the practical.
Sir, login VTY 0 to 4 means 5 users can access.
5 users can access. Okay. Total 16 lines are there. So maximum 16, minimum 0 and 1, 2. Okay. So let's go to the console access. See what all the configurations we have done. So I'll just restart this router. So to restart the router, the command is do reload. Okay, but we have the IP. Okay, we'll do it again. Spelling mistake. No. Yes, any doubt?
Sir, what is the difference if you give login local and only local? To give login local and without local, what are the difference?
Difference between login local and
Login.
login. See, when you give the login, so login will either allow without password login. Okay, your login command, it can allow without password login. And if you have configured the password, then it will allow login using password. Okay. But when you are giving the login local, in that case, you are telling it that, okay, use local database. Means you will be using usernames and password. So that usernames and password will be configured in the local database. Okay. So whenever you want to use username and password, you have to use this. And if you want to use just password, only log. Okay. Say no. Enable configurator. Now for SSH, the first requirement is hostname. So you'll say hostname R1. Changed. Second requirement, domain name. So give the command IP domain name. Then let's say cisco.com. Okay. Then third requirement, cryptographic keys. So crypto key generate RSA general keys modulus. Now this general keys word, you'll say I haven't given you here, right? Because this thing again in the packet tracer. No. So if you want to practice in the packet tracer, you can give here general keys. Like this. Otherwise, when you will practice according to this. Like this. But in the if you are practicing this thing in the EVNG or GNS3 or real routers, there you do not require the general keys. Okay. So with the packet tracer, we have few limitations. Okay. So modulus, let's say maximum if you want to see what are the modulus. So I have 360 till, okay, it is supporting till 4096. Okay, so you can use 4096 bits of encryption. Okay. So let's go with the maximum only. And you see, generating 4096 bits of encryption keys, RSA keys. Okay. And you see which version has been enabled? 1.99, that is version 2 only. Okay. Now all we need to do, give in the username, CCIE, privilege level 15, password CCIE. Then just go to line PTY 0 to 4, login, done. All 5 requirements are met. So will I be able to take up the access using SSH? Else still I won't be able to take the access. Why? Do I have the IP address? No. Do I have IP address on my router? Is my interface up? No. Okay. So interface 0 by 0. Okay, F0 by 0 on this router. IP address. No shutdown. Now I should be able to take up the access. Now, when you want to take access using the SSH, so how do you take access using SSH? You have to say SSH -L. -L means login name. Then username. What is the name of the user? CCIE. And then what IP address you want to access? 10.0.0.1. Hit enter, asking for password. CCIE. You have access to the privilege mode. Okay. Now let's see whether SSH is also insecure. So exit. Go to the simulation mode. Which protocol I want to capture? SSH. This time we do not require Telnet, right? So we will go with SSH. See here. Not Telnet. SSH-L. Username is CCIE. IP address is 10.0.0.1. Okay. Now if you see, packets will be generated. See, generated so many packets. If you try to read the data, so in the Telnet we were able to see that the packet will ask for username and all. Here if I go to the outbound packet, what do I see? Okay, let's check the next packet. What it is? You see? Only one thing you are going to see here, that is encrypted data. Same thing will happen here also. If I will type the username, the packets will be generated. See here. Okay, time out already expired. Go back to simulation. See, asking for password. Let's say I will type the password. Do you see? Generated. Open the packets. Because the entire data will be encrypted. So we'll not be able to see. Now, here the thing is, whatever the configuration we have done so far, this configuration, according to this, both Telnet and SSH has been enabled. Both Telnet and SSH has been enabled. Because if you see, okay, when I'm configuring Telnet using username and password, what all the commands I give? Username, line VTY, login local. So if you just forget these commands and just focus on the remaining commands, what this command will do? Enable Telnet also. Means on the same VTY lines, we have both Telnet and SSH access. Okay. So if you want to disable Telnet, in that case, you have to give here one more command, that is transport input SSH, because we want to allow only SSH. See, in this command, after input, there will be 4 options. One will be all, second will be none, third will be SSH and Telnet. If you see all, by default, there is all, Telnet input all. That means both Telnet and SSH is allowed. If you say none, that means both Telnet and SSH will not be allowed. If you say SSH, only SSH will be allowed. If you say Telnet, only Telnet will be allowed. Okay, like this. Now see, I can show you here that if I try to take access here, Telnet, I'm able to take up access. See, Telnet access is there. And if I access through the SSH access is there. So if I want to disable Telnet access, let me go to the global configuration mode. I'll say line VTY 0 to 4, and only one command I will give: transport input SSH. Now see. If I try now Telnet access, no access. If I try SSH access, I have access. So this is all about your default gateway proxy are Telnet and SSH.